This video is about how can failure lead to innovation. It can lead to innovation only if you learn how to recover. I'm Jennifer Kenny and I'm delighted to be here. Welcome to the channel. Why do some teams bounce back almost stronger after a failure where others just fall apart? Could your last failed project be your best innovation source? Sounds crazy, but it is possible. There's a way that leaders convert breakdowns into breakthroughs. I want to talk to you about that. By the end of this video, you're going to learn how to be able to treat failure not as an end, but as the beginning of intentional innovation. Failure is a really interesting thing because different people define it in different ways. I remember being interviewed for something or other a while ago, and someone said to me, "How do you deal with failure?" And I couldn't answer the question. I was kind of sitting there going, how do I deal with failure? And I really couldn't come up with anything. And I think it's because I have trained myself so many times over the years to view failure as a learning opportunity, as something that isn't the end of the world, that's something that isn't a disaster. And I think that how you think about failure really can help you turn it into an amazing learning opportunity and something really valuable. So when you think about failure, I encourage you to think about, what does failure mean for me? How do I feel when I fail at something? How quickly can I recover from that? And how can I take the learning about myself, the learning about the circumstances and the situation, and really reduce my cycle time of pain and suffering? Because we tend to suffer when we experience failure, but if we can shorten that cycle time, we can actually turn it around and learn a lot for ourselves. So if you look at failure as being a signal of something and not necessarily a stopping point, and if you move beyond kind of beating yourself up, there's a lot of powerful questions that you can ask yourself that you can set yourself up for progressively more success over time. If you think of failure as a signal and not a stopping point, what you'll recognize many times is, if you look at it through the lens of coordination and the structures of coordination and the networks of commitments in your organization, what you'll see is that you probably didn't set yourself up for success in the first place. And by that, what I mean is you didn't have the right conversations with the right customers. You didn't design your conditions of satisfaction effectively. You didn't design the conditions of satisfaction for you being satisfied in the process. You had lessons that you had learned from previous experiences that you forgot to bring to the table on this one. So one of the things I really encourage people to do, and I also try to do myself on a recurring basis, is to make sure that I'm giving myself room and time and space before I step wholeheartedly into something. And many times what happens is I will make a small preliminary commitment before I make a much bigger one, because I use that small preliminary commitment time to be able to make sure that I'm in alignment with who I'm going to be working with, that our conditions for what's going to be fantastic and what's going to be successful are pretty strongly aligned together, that we have a good understanding of how it is that we like to work together. So I'm always looking for making sure that the alignment is there, making sure that the shared understanding of success is there. One of the things that we tend to do when we start looking at failure is we don't necessarily go back far enough. Many times we'll see an opportunity and we'll jump at it and we'll accept it straight away. And we don't necessarily ask ourselves, how is this going to help me? How is this going to serve me? How is this going to extend my learning? How is this going to push my comfort zone? What kind of support am I going to be getting from my customer? Is this the right customer for me? Is this the right moment for me? Do I have the right bandwidth? And I'm not encouraging you to only focus on yourself. Obviously, I want you to focus on your customer as well, but I am encouraging you to make sure that you ask yourself those questions that put you in alignment in a way that you're going to be able to take care of yourself in the process. As you start looking at how failure can lead to innovation, and if you've had failures in the past, one of the most valuable things you can do if you're doing a post-project review or an after-action review, or you're having individual reviews with people on the team where you all failed at something and you're carrying it kind of heavily, is that you are looking to design for learning and not for punishment. You have to take blame and shame completely off the table. Nobody did this intentionally. If you're doing blame and shame, what you're doing is you're saying you intentionally messed this up. You intentionally didn't deliver. I don't think any of us can honestly say that we intentionally set out to mess something up. So if you recognize that there's an opportunity to be able to create a safe space for people to be able to look at what it is that they learned, that's incredibly valuable. Now, the deal is the first time you do it, it's probably going to take a while. But if you're building a team for the long term, and I sincerely hope you are, you're building a lot of practices into that team. And one of the practices that you can absolutely build is the practice of being able to learn from the failures that you've had and to reduce the cycle time of that learning progressively over time. So it's not just enough to learn from the failure, it's how can you reduce the cycle time so that you can derive the learning from the failure, pivot, move forward, progressively more quickly each time. As you design for learning and not for punishment, you'll also recognize that the teams who do this work and who actually review their failures effectively and quickly, they can improve their performance by up to 25%. And that's coming from Science Daily. So there's a really strong reason for you to be able to recognize this, learn it, and learn how to do it quickly as a team. The whole notion of safe to fail or fail fast is getting a lot of attention at the moment, particularly the fail fast piece of it. And what I've seen is, again, it's that idea of how do we learn from our mistakes, learn from our failures, and pivot quickly. But also, how do we create a space where it is safe for people to be able to recognize failure, acknowledge failure, speak failure before it becomes something even bigger. If you can help your people see that failure is this big learning opportunity, and it isn't about blame and shame, what you'll notice is they're going to start seeing the indicators of failure sooner, and they'll be able to call it sooner. The failure will be smaller, the pivot will be quicker, and you'll be able to move forward with a lot of powerful learning. I said earlier the idea of taking blame and shame off the table is really important in the process. Shame can spiral you and your team to a point where you're really significantly undermining the morale of the team. One of the things that I found valuable to be able to do is to recognize the breakdown, acknowledge what did not work, and move as quickly as you possibly can to co-invention or co-design, and looking at what could work better, what could work more effectively next time. What was it in hindsight that we missed that we can bring forward with us? Velocity is really important in here. Your ability to be able to, as I say, reduce the cycle time increases your velocity, increases your ability to be able to pivot, and has your team sit in the failure for a shorter period of time. So you may have a personal practice of recognizing when something didn't work, when something blew up in your face, when something didn't work the way you expected to, when something didn't unfold and you went away feeling sort of sore and sad about it. If you practice yourself the very important practice of being able to let it go and being able to pivot quickly and learn from that, you're going to be able to bring that into the workplace as well. And you're going to be able to help your team do the same thing as a team. So when people are looking to be able to learn from their failures, I really encourage them to be able to do it in their own personal space. That muscle that you build in your own personal space, where you might even be harsher on yourself than you would ever be with some of your people, is something that as you build more compassion for yourself and as you build more analytical capability of understanding why the failure happened in the first place and stepping up into that space of responsibility, you then provide an opportunity for your team because you've learned how to do that yourself, and now you're really kind of showing everyone else how to do it through practice. The faster you have the insights around the learning, the faster that you can make offers and make valuable offers to each other, the faster you can generate smarter innovation through this process. So when you think about doing the post-action review, after-action review, or the post-project review, and you're looking at what went wrong and what really made the failure happen, The faster you can build the insights, the faster you can make new offers, the faster you're going to get back into the innovation cycle again. Now, I don't mean that you do that so quickly that you don't pay attention to what happened, but what you're looking to do is you're looking to train your team to be able to acknowledge quickly, not beat themselves up, learn what it is that they could have done better, ask valuable questions in terms of how it is they could have coordinated with other people or with each other in the process better, and then move to the point of design, creating new offers and building new innovation momentum as quickly as they possibly can. As you go through this process, there is another video that I think would be of help to you. It's how to encourage innovation as a team. Think of it as sort of a backdrop for this particular aspect of dealing with failure. You're dealing with failure for the purposes of improving innovation. This particular video talks about how to encourage innovation as a team. If you're looking at failure and you're looking to build innovation and you're looking to understand the relationship between failure and innovation, you're already way ahead of the competition. This is a powerful thing for you to be doing. I'd love to hear how you're making progress with your innovation capacity building, both yourself personally and with your team. I admire you and I want to support you as best I can, and I wish you the very best of luck with this process. Let me know how it goes for you.